Hello and welcome to WataugaOnline.com as we start to wrap up the school year. Today is Tuesday, May the 25th, and as of this recording, we're just a few minutes shy of 11 o'clock. And joining me today, as he has throughout the school year, Dr. Scott Elliott, the superintendent of Watauga County Schools, on this final day of the school year. And I say that kind of chuckling because, as we all know, wow, what a year it's been. So Dr. Elliott, let's just start there. Let's talk about this past year a little bit and how you and the staff and the students have all fared and as we return back to what we all hope is a normal.
Good morning, Kenneth, and happy last day of the school year to you and your family and to all the families out there. What a year it has been. The last day of school is always a great day to just celebrate and to think about the summer and family time and all of that. But this year it feels much more like a celebration because of all of the accomplishments of this school year. I don't know if you remember, but March a year ago, you and I did our very first interview, and it was over the weekend when the governor made the announcement of closing schools. And we did the interview from my basement.
Yeah.
On a Saturday. And I just want to say thank you to you and to all of our other media partners for helping to share information and to provide accurate information to our community all year long. So yeah, it's been quite a year.
On that note, before you get started, let me thank you for your time, because I know you have been pulled in all directions and you've always been gracious with your time as well. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
so
thank you. I'm always glad to talk.
Let's talk about the year. As you said, we went from March, March when everything started, COVID, school shutting down. And then, of course, we made it through the rest of that year, which was just last year, with the rest of that school calendar year. And then we got into the fall. And since that time, we have seen the movement from all virtual learning to students returning little by little, day by day, week by week at times. And now we'll recap that, and then we'll talk about the fall. So let's go back to the fall of last year and school starting. How have the adjustments gone from then till now?
Well, I think that we can always look back and think about maybe decisions we would have made differently or second guess decisions. But I choose to think that we were all in this working through very unprecedented times and making the decisions that, really folks had never had to make before. And so in one of those first conversations you and I had, I said to you that we would be making decisions based on 2 or 3 core criteria. One was the health and safety of our employees and of our students, and that we would be making decisions really all the way back then. There was a lot of unknown about the virus, about how it spread, about the long-term health effects and all of those things. And so we were being very cautious and very protective of the health and safety of our students. The second was to make sure that all of our employees remained employed. We got very creative about the roles and jobs that people did. We had bus drivers helping provide meals. We had teacher assistants on buses delivering food. We had everyone helping out with cleaning, so that we could continue to have people employed and in their benefits when many of our employees were the only person in their families through last summer who were still employed, when so many in the community were furloughed or laid off or had lost their jobs. And so preserving people's employment was the second thing. And third, of course, the most important, was continuing to provide support and education for our students. Even when we were all remote through last spring, we started the year all remote with most of our students. We did prioritize those most at-risk students who came to school in person from the first day of school, to then moving into hybrid instruction in October, and then this spring being back 4 days a week. I'd have to say we've learned so much. Mm-hmm. About remote instruction and about how we work together, and about screening and cleaning and all of those many things that we've done. And then as we look into next school year, we look forward to increasingly being able to do more and more normal things. But I think it's a great accomplishment that we did not have to close this school. We did not have to end an athletic season early. We were able to provide many opportunities for our students to do as many of the normal things as possible. I was at the high school one day last week and enjoyed a few moments of an orchestra concert while then going over to a baseball game, then going to a track meet. Today, I've already been in 3 of our schools to see promotion ceremonies and outdoor activities going on at our schools. So we've been able to work through all of these things to be able to provide our students with the most normal experience possible. The fact that we ended last week with 0 COVID positive cases among students and
I was
staff
about to bring that up. Go ahead.
is it's a great accomplishment both for our community in terms of how seriously this community has taken this virus and doing the things to get it under control, as well as the work of our parents and our teachers and our nurses to do the things that needed to be done to make sure that again, back to that number one first priority of keeping our schools, our teachers, and our staff safe. So a lot to celebrate as we end the year.
And just to remind our viewers, in case you may not be up to speed, because I realize folks don't tune into the news every single day. Watauga County School System announced last week that for the first time since the school district began tracking, there were 0 positive cases of COVID-19 among students and staff, as Dr. Elliott just mentioned. So that was huge. And I know there were a lot of times that we wondered as parents and onlookers and staff and faculty when that day would come. 0, 0 cases. And we wonder now when that will happen here in our county, even though our numbers are good and the vaccine rates are very good. They could be better, but we look forward to that day as well.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, thank you. I was going to just say on that note, I want to put in a plug for our school nurses and our partners at the health department who've worked together to do thousands and thousands of screenings and investigations of COVID-like symptoms. I know that it wasn't always the easiest thing for us as parents when our children needed to be quarantined or isolated or kept out of school, but it worked. It worked in keeping and controlling secondary transmissions of school. You mentioned vaccines. I'm also very proud that our school system hosted the very first community-wide vaccine clinic over at Watauga High School. And we've continued to offer clinics for our faculty. Over 90% of our faculty of our employees have received the vaccine. That also helped to protect us and to keep school open for our students. And we're now providing vaccines for young adults and children in the community. In fact, we've had 4 vaccine clinics, or 3 vaccine clinics so far for 12-year-olds and older. We have another one tomorrow at Parkway School, open to anyone in the community. I'm just really pleased with the role that the school system has been able to play in both, keeping our schools open, but also helping provide for the health of the entire community.
And you talk about those vaccine clinics. It's also worth noting that it was picked up by some statewide media outlets when Watauga was doing their vaccine clinics, because you were one of the first ones in the entire state to do that. I think after you announced it, we did an interview either right before that or right after it. I think it was right before that because you had also made note that there were a couple of other school systems in the state that were following suit, fairly quickly as Watauga announced. So that was really impressive too, to see some of the statewide media outlets pick up on the work that Watauga was doing. I mentioned before, I'll mention again, we're recording this on Tuesday, May the 25th. It is the last full day of school for Watauga County students. And why is that? I say with a question mark, and I'm going to answer that and let Dr. Elliott expand on that. This is another byproduct or effect, I guess we could say, of COVID-19, is the virtual learning is now allowing our school system to not go into June and the middle of June, as we have done for so many years, it seems. And we are so reliant on the winter weather. And that's why, on average, we miss 22, 25 days right in that time frame due to winter weather. And the virtual learning has helped us now be able to get out before June. How important is that? And no more Saturday school.
Well, there's something to celebrate.
Yes.
So yes, because of the work that we did back last spring, we were able to quickly get a computer device in the hands of every student in the school system. That also is very rare in our state, and the thanks goes to our Board of Education and county commissioners years ago for prioritizing that. It's been about 3-4 years now that we've had that plan in place, not anticipating a pandemic, but we were ready for it. And then all of the hard work that our teachers put in to adapt their lessons and their pacing guides to be able to facilitate that instruction to the extent possible
Mhm.
virtually meant that we could not only manage the pandemic, but that we could also minimize interruptions to instruction on snow days. As you said, we have interruptions of 30 to 40 days when you consider early releases and 2-hour delays. We
Mhm.
average 17 to 20 days a year missed. This year, I mean, who of us can remember in the modern era, in the last couple of decades, having school dismissed before Memorial Day? But I
Yeah.
want to point out the goal is not to end school as early as possible. That is not the goal. The goal has been to provide continuity and quality of instruction to our students. Now, certainly that's debatable, and we're all still learning as teachers about how to facilitate quality instruction. But every teacher that I have spoken to, when I've asked them, would you rather have a day of remote instruction or would you rather add a day to the end of the school year, have all told me we'd much rather have the continuity of continuing to see our students and continue to have instruction with them rather than waiting sometimes maybe 3-4 days or a week before seeing them again,
Mhm.
instead of adding a day at the end of the school year. So again, if the best thing to do would be to just not have school and end school in the middle of June, as we sometimes have, then that's probably what we would do. But I believe that being able to have this continuity, use these devices in order to do it, and have the benefit of a little bit longer summer for our students is a win-win and something that we plan to do moving forward.
I'd like to remind our viewers that on WataugaOnline.com, this is the 10th year for that site. And for all of those 10 years, well, up until last year, because it was just hard to keep track, but I have put together an article and I keep it updated every year about the Watauga County Schools weather closings history. And it's not been updated for last year's stats because I don't really know how to go about that
Right.
because, you know, but I
Yeah.
bring all that up. If you, the viewer, would like to see more of that history, you can find that on the website. And we talk about the winter weather days. The year with the fewest missed days was the 1990-91 school year, just 4 days missed. That is not the normal for
That's right.
sure. And so, when you talked about a few minutes ago, you'd have to think back a long time of getting out consistently in May, especially 2 years in a row now. I mean, it's just unheard of. It doesn't happen, but thankfully
Yeah.
it will now.
That's right.
Hopefully.
Thank you for keeping that data. Folks can also go to our website, wataugaschools.org. At the top, you can find the calendar tab. And if you scroll down on that page, you'll see a spreadsheet of the history of days missed by month, by school year back to the 70s. And you can really, people can really see what you're talking about, Kenneth. But
Hmm.
again, I want to keep the focus on the quality of instruction and
Yes.
continuity of support for our students. The legislature is currently considering a bill which looks to have bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate that would allow school districts in the mountains and those who get those winter weather waivers to be able to use up to 15 days of instruction. Now, we didn't use that many this year. I don't know that we would use 15 days in a winter, but if winter got really bad like we used to have, it's nice to have that option.
Well, and your first couple of years here as superintendent, I mean, I can remember this like it was yesterday. We missed no days in December for like 5 years in a row, something like. I've got that history on the website
Not
too.
many.
And then of all of those years, a majority of them, when we came back from the Christmas and holiday break, we missed nearly 2 straight weeks every year because of winter weather. That right there's 10 days just
That's
right
right.
off the bat. So
Yeah.
since we're talking about virtual and winter weather and adjustments, let's talk a little bit about the K-8 Watauga Virtual Academy. It has opened for enrollment, opened last week. Talk a little bit about that. This seems to be a program now that will become a normal.
That's right. I mean, I think it's just perhaps one of those things that we learned from the pandemic and from remote instruction is not only how to facilitate remote instruction, but that there's actually a need and a desire for it. We had quite a few families who enrolled with us who previously had not been with us. Maybe they were homeschooled or in a private school,
Hmm.
but they wanted quality instruction from a certified teacher using quality materials. And we also had a lot of families. We had about 600 students K-12 who were in our virtual academy this school year, and a lot of those were, about health concerns about the pandemic.
Yeah.
And as we've come back to school in person, and as conditions have improved, a lot of those families have come back to us. But I think that this is a need or an option or a choice that's going to be important for families moving forward, not because of the pandemic, but because of all the many different needs that families have or the reasons that they might choose to educate their children outside of a brick and mortar school. So to me, right now, it's kind of an experiment to
Yeah.
see is it viable? Is it something that we can support? Are there enough families and students in the community who are interested in it and who would do it for us to be able to support it? This year, we're going to go ahead and we have already hired the teachers who will be teaching in the academy. They will be dedicated teachers to this. They won't be doing something else in one of our other schools. It is an official school now. I mean, we have a official approval from the state. It's a school just like any of our other schools. So if there are folks out there who are interested in this and who think that this might be a good fit for them, and who otherwise wouldn't come to school with us in person, please look on our website, wataugaschools.org. You'll also see a tab there for virtual instruction and the remote academy, or the schools, and you can scroll down to Watauga Virtual Academy. And we'd love to be able to provide that program and provide support to families that need it. Of course, we also want families to come to us in person, and we've enjoyed over the last few weeks having pretty strong registrations and enrollments of families who are coming back to us next year, knowing that we will be in school full time, 5 days a week. Maybe that's an assumption that's been out there, but I just want to say it, that is the plan, and I fully anticipate a full 5 day a week schedule next year. Of course, we want to hear from them as well and make sure that we have a schedule for those children and that we're prepared to see them come August.
I'd like to remind the viewer that enrollment for the Watauga Virtual Academy opened last week and runs through June 18th. So keep that in the back of your mind. And as Dr. Elliott said, go to wataugaschools.org for more information about that. All right, before we move into the fall, you mentioned it a moment ago. Let's talk about one other key thing, as I've tried to make me a little timeline here as we progress through items. The return of a graduation in-person ceremony will take place Friday here in Watauga County. Talk about that. How exciting is that?
I don't think I can begin to describe to you how exciting it is, both practically and also just symbolically in terms of how far we've come. Last year, we had a fantastic event. There was a drive-through ceremony. We built a special stage up across the rock. Students walked across the rock and decorated their cars, and families were outside, realizing that we couldn't do anything indoors or with close contacts. It was a great celebration.
It was.
But we're so happy that we have come as far as we have with the state regulations. Was it 2 weeks ago? As soon as I heard that the governor was going to be making an announcement, and I had an indication that he was going to be lifting the mass gathering limits and social distancing requirements, I was immediately in contact with the chancellor's office at ASU to ask about the possibility of revisiting the question and being able to use the convocation center. There was no hesitation on the part of Chancellor Everetts and her office to approve that for us, and we're so grateful. So that means that this Friday, 5 o'clock, we'll be celebrating 351, I believe, of our graduates, and there are no limits on the number of folks who may attend. No need to get tickets. The university does require that we wear masks indoors. That is their rule, and we will abide by that. But at least we'll be indoors. We don't have to worry about the weather. There'll be air conditioning and plenty of room for folks to spread out. And I think about these seniors and watching them grow up, in our schools and through our community, that this is what they deserve. They deserve to be celebrated in the most special way possible with as many of their teachers and family there as can get there. And we're just thrilled.
Yeah, and that you talk about Chancellor Everetts and Appalachian. It's always great to have that working partnership, as the Watauga County school system has had with Appalachian State for all these many years. But yeah, this is certainly great to be able to do it all together like we used to. Like you said, last year's ceremony was great. It was a long day for you folks, standing there in the hot
8 hours
sun.
on stage. Yes.
Yeah, and the win. But this will be terrific. Again, graduation. We're filming this on Tuesday, May the 25th, and graduation is Friday, May the 28th, 5 o'clock at the Convocation Center. And will that be streamed as well?
That's another great, fantastic thing. I'm sorry. Thank you for mentioning it. So the doors do open at 4 o'clock. We encourage people to come early. There will be plenty of room for people to spread out if folks, prefer some social distancing. We've never before been able to live stream the graduation from inside the Convocation Center, but that too has changed perhaps as a result of COVID. So I want to say thank you to ASU Athletics, who are providing the staffing and the equipment to be able to do that just like they would for, say, a basketball game. And folks will be able to live stream that on the Watauga County Schools YouTube channel. At 5 o'clock, it will be live streamed. It'll be recorded and there for people to watch after the event. And
I'll be sure and send that out in links and as it goes live too. So, okay. All right. So we've moved to graduation. Let's talk real briefly. I won't keep you much longer. This has already went a little longer than I'd planned, but we are wrapping up the school year here today. And Dr. Scott Elliott is my guest here on WataugaOnline.com. Summer school, I remember seeing something about summer school somewhere, but refresh my memory about that.
Yes, the state legislature put in place a summer learning program for students, especially those who are at risk in some way or who may have experienced learning loss or have gotten behind. But we've really chosen to make it available to any student who needs it for any reason whatsoever. We have about 500 K-8 students who have registered for our summer program.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it is free. We provide breakfast and lunch, and we actually provide some extended learning opportunities for families up until 6 p.m. for families that work. We're going to have a lot of fun, but the students are also going to learn a lot as well. And we know that we do have students who, we just came through a pandemic and they need some additional academic support or social emotional support to get ready for next year. We have a lot of teachers who have volunteered to work in that program and bus drivers and cafeteria staff who are going to be working in that program. That will begin next week and will run through July the 2nd. We've closed registration for that in order to make the schedules, but I know that there are a lot of families out there that are going to benefit from that. We've worked with Watauga County Parks and Recreation. They are then picking up with summer camp programs at the conclusion of our summer school. So there are opportunities in the community for families who need it. And it'll be a great financial benefit to a lot of families who are working and who otherwise might not be able to afford an opportunity for their children this summer. So we're looking forward to that. And then we'll be moving right into August.
All right, let's talk a little bit about August. Of course, we'll do another interview before school starts to get everybody on the same page and get ready, because you blink your eye and August will be here. But let's talk about the fall a little bit. As you said, we all anticipate 5-day-a-week school, in person. Hopefully by that time, surely by that time, the kids will be able to go maskless. Now we'll have to wait and see, because that guidance still comes from Raleigh, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
From the governor's office and the Department of DHS. DHHS, easy for me to say. But we certainly hope that's going to happen now with the vaccines available for children as young as 12. Is that right?
That's right. So just to kind of recap what you just said, I'm not sending a mixed message here about what we anticipate. We absolutely will have school 5 days a week next year. It was great to have the Wednesdays this year for extra support and help for our students who needed it and our teachers to work together. But next year is absolutely a 5-day-a-week schedule. So the masking requirements, as you said, have come from DHHS, even with the CDC's recommendation that that masks don't need to be worn by vaccinated people indoors or out. The CDC and DHHS were clear that there are still some environments where that is not true. Hospitals, childcare centers, and
Doctors'
schools.
offices.
Doctors' offices. Now, this is one of those things that I do think ultimately, collectively, is within our control, because what DHHS and the governor's office have said is that as we have higher rates of vaccines and lower rates of the virus, that these restrictions will ease. So, I'm very proud that in our community we have much higher vaccination rates than we see in our region and across the state. My hope is that both of those things will continue to occur and that the state will relax the masking mandates. Now, it's entirely possible that it could be a phased approach. It could be that any high school students and teachers, now I don't know anything, I'm just telling you, what could occur. It could be that masks become required for anyone who's not vaccinated, and that high school students and high school teachers and staff who are vaccinated may go without a mask. Then, currently the Pfizer vaccine, and I heard this morning that possibly soon the Moderna vaccine will be approved down to 12-year-olds. Maybe we'll see that same thing with our middle school age students. To be determined about the younger students. My hope is certainly as we get to a point where we have the possibility of making masks optional for our students and our faculty. It's still several months away before August, and we'll be talking again before then, but that is certainly my hope.
Yeah, and I'll put this out there. The Associated Press was reporting about 3 hours ago that Moderna says its vaccine strongly protects kids as young as 12. So there's every day they're making more strides in that. And so just a little bit of more vaccine news for you that came across the wires, as we used to say in the broadcasting business a little while ago. But anyway, yeah, there'll be plenty of time between now and August for all of that to work itself out. All right, so let's wrap it all up. What in conclusion would you like to leave our viewers with today as we sign off for the 2020-2021 school year?
Well, I would say that what I've learned this year, and I really truly mean it, is that by working together, we can do just about anything. And I'm so proud of our community and our parents, our businesses, our educators, and most especially our students for all that they've accomplished this year. We have not just survived, but we have thrived. And I know that not everyone has agreed with all of the decisions that I've made or that we as a school system have made. And we have many others who've been very supportive as well. But really, at the end of the day, we all were in this together, and we work together to protect our students and to continue their education to the extent possible. And you know what I'm about to say next. I end every interview with you by saying a special thank you to our teachers, to all of our educators. They have shown up and they've worked really hard. You can hear and read in the media about what happens in New York or California or New Jersey or even in Raleigh for that matter. But I'm here to tell you, our educators in Watauga County have never worked harder this year. And I'm grateful to them. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of our students and all of our teachers back in the classrooms full time, having a normal school year next year. But my thanks to everyone for all that you've done for us this year.
And that wraps it up for this school year. Thank you for your time, Dr. Scott Elliott, Superintendent of Watauga County Schools. A school year that none of us will ever forget. That's for sure. A year, 2020, that none of us will ever forget. I'm Kenneth Reese, the founder, owner, and operator of WataugaOnline.com. Thank you for taking time to view this today. We'll talk to Dr. Elliott again coming up here in a couple of months. And in the meantime, everyone stay safe and have a great day.